Hello and thanks for checking out TheChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello MJ friends, lots to talk about today. We're going to start it off talking about US ETFs. So we now have US MJ ETFs entering the space. The first one is going to be trading, well actually now it's the second one, going to be trading on 4/18 Thursday, HMUS. No, they're not trading hummus. They are trading USMJ stocks. So these are the weights of their positions that they're going to have. Curaleaf, CL, and CWeb mark the top. Then we've got MedMen, Green Life, Acreage, and IAN as some other major holdings, and then lesser holdings from there. We do not know the size of this fund. We do not know how much buying they are going to do, but this is a catalyst. And if you remember back when the Canadian MJ ETF started going, that added some short-term momentum for the sector to be watching for. So then we just got news today, just now, haven't even really read it. Evolve launches the world's first ETF investing in the U.S. cannabis industry. And they say the first because they undercut by 1 day. They're going 1 day sooner than the news that was already out. So they're trying to steal the spotlight a little bit, but they're not giving us the holdings as of right now. So I'd have to do a little bit more research. Again, this literally, as I was pulling up the charts, this was posted. So 2 ETFs in the U.S. MJ sector. Let's see if that leads to some buying pressure. As these MJ names, a lot of them still need a lot of help on these bounces. We did see sector sentiment shift this morning, and it was very clear because my entire screen was green first thing right off the bat this morning. And then we had some action with CGC. First off, if anybody is interested in any marijuana domains, let me know. MJETFs.com. Somebody build out a sweet website tracking all the MJ ETFs and charts and what their holdings are and updating the holdings and posting news of the companies that are in the holdings. Let's do it. MJSector.com. Come on. I don't have time. So, CGC. We got a move this morning, and it was very clear. I was live while it was happening, and I was saying, okay, we have our start to the morning. It's a nice little bull push. If we break the low of the day here, I was looking at the second candlestick on the 5-minute time frame. I said, if we break this low of the day, that's a red flag short term, and these bounces may fade. And then instantly, look at this volume. Normally, you see the highest volume candlesticks, the first few candlesticks of the trading morning on the 5-minute time frame. When that is not the case, something is up. And it was very clear. We were saying, okay, something's up with the volume. There's got to be news out. And in my opinion, and in opinion of other members who were pointing this out, it was a mistake by the algos reacting to this headline. The headline was, CGC expects to make $1 billion in whatever 12-month period. That's what the news was. There was an article headline that came out that was a mistake, and it said, CGC expects to make $1 billion in sales in April. And it didn't say the whole thing of April, from April for the next 12 months or whatever they were implying. Number two, this was old news. Constellation's CEO already said this billion figure in terms of expectations over the 12-month period. This was coming from Bruce, from the CGC CEO, but just the same news from a different horse's mouth. And again, it was algos reacting and squeezing shorts. And what happened is as soon as we broke this double top of 42.62 and 42.65, it added an extra leg of rocket fuel for these bulls. You can see the entire bull move only lasted 15 minutes, and then from there it was just slow consolidation the rest of the day with a bear break at the end of the day and not a whole lot of no follow-through whatsoever. So that's an example, in my opinion, of an algo reacting to a headline, but doing so incorrectly. So we have another rejection on the daily time frame. Again, I keep talking about these exponential resistances. 3 rejections and now 2 rejections. This is looking very similar to the daily higher low and higher high that we got with no follow through, with upper wicks rejecting from exponential resistance, and then we had another leg down. We then saw a bounce, higher low, higher high, no follow through, big upper wick, rejecting from exponential resistance. The hourly time frame, we are expecting an hourly higher low compared to the low of today, 40.90, but we pulled back so much at this point that we're just going to be looking for an hourly lower high on the bounce after that. So fading into the end of the day, no follow through. Bulls did not prove anything on the daily time frame, and at this point, we're going to have to see an hourly tightening range break bullish for the Bulls to try and get some momentum in their favor. But I do believe that these two new USMJ ETFs might steal away some thunder from the Canadian side of things in the short term to be looking to the US. Also got to talk about VFF and Citron back in the game. Can you imagine how easy it would be to make money if you could put out a tweet and instantly have the price dump 10% after you've already established your position? Takes no skill whatsoever, but I guess you had to establish that following somehow. Anyways, we'll get to that in a moment. Cron today, no follow through, daily inside bar, big upper wick. This bounce didn't do anything. So this bounce, we can still consider it the same bounce. We don't have an hourly higher low or higher high. We have not changed the trend. We started the bounce from the low of yesterday. We set our top of the bounce, and now we're heading back down and fading. 1566 and 1547 are supports. We have no hourly trend change. We have the bulls not proving anything on any time frames. We've seen daily lower highs 4 days in a row. And for the bulls to have any hope of follow through, we have to break 1639 tomorrow. And if we don't, we are going to be looking for daily oversold RSI to get a bit more extreme with another leg down. Bulls proving nothing. ACB, different story, strong close. So anything under 914 is a lower high on the daily for ACB. That is the target. We can see the clear lower highs, 930, 930, 914. And if we can't break 914, it's just a lower high. Solid bull volume. It's the most bull volume on a daily candlestick that we've seen in the past few weeks, but we have to get follow through. Hourly time frame, healthy consolidation, much different story than CGC and Cron. Looking at this hourly pullback to find a higher low, plenty of space for the bulls to find that higher low. And they need to see a break of 914 this week to try and shift this daily momentum, keeping in mind that ACB is in a weekly uptrend at this point still, where most Canadian MJ names are not. APHA, very weak, same as CGC. So talked about ACB standing out yesterday, looking at the longer term patterns on the weekly chart, and short term standing out today in terms of holding those gains. So inside bar, weak close for APHA. It is a tightening hourly range. We set a lower high at 879, and then we dropped down and we did break 867 support, but only by a penny. So it is still a pretty tight range. Let's look at it on the 15-minute, where we had our low of the day, high of the day, higher low, lower high, and then it came down and tested support and holding it a little bit, but on the verge of breaking. So pretty much if we break 866, we're looking down at 848, the low of the dump from yesterday. And our clear resistances are 879 and 892. The bulls aren't proving anything for APHA. TLRY had a weak bounce attempt. Daily lower high pattern has now been intact for a long time. Not even going to count. Probably double-digit days at this point. Bulls have to change that pattern by breaking 51.15 tomorrow. This is a tightening pattern that did not break at the end of the day. So let's look at it on the hourly. Actually, the half hour probably has it better. So I'd just call it the low of the day, high of the day, higher low, lower high, higher low, tightening range. 49.76 support, 50.74 resistance, patiently waiting for a break. And if it's a bull break, then we will finally break the everyday a lower high pattern that has been in place for weeks at this point. So holding up a little bit better, certainly giving back less of the morning gains than APHA, Cron, or CGC. OGI with a big upper wick of profit taking. So the low of yesterday broke by a couple pennies. So the hourly time frame is still a downtrend. Resistance was 901. We formed a lower high at 894. 840 is the only support. If we can hold that tomorrow morning, we'll look for a bounce. Anything under 894 would just be a lower high in a tightening hourly range. Bulls proved nothing on this bounce. They cooled off short-term RSI levels. RSI was oversold at the end of the day yesterday, and here we are close to the low of the day of yesterday, but the RSI is back up in the upper 30s at this point. So we can distinguish names that bulls are proving nothing and names that are still holding on a little bit better. So far, it's ACB and TLRY. USMJ names had better bounces out there. We'll look at those in a moment. Hexo, clear weak compared to everybody else. Lower lows continuing, down closed at the low of the day. Hourly RSI right back to oversold. No hourly trend change. Next daily support level after the low of today, there's a gap to fill at 799. That gap has filled. So now we're looking down at 757 as the next level. And just a clear hourly downtrend. Cool off the RSI, another leg down. Hexo, definitely one of the weaker names today for the lack of any bounce follow through. TRST, weaker name. So 902 is support. We did hold that level. It is a daily inside bar, but we closed at the low of the day. So in the hourly time frame, we didn't change any trend. We bounced. It was just a lower high. Bulls have to hold 902 and break 942 to change the hourly trend. If we hold 902 first thing tomorrow morning, we're going to look for a bounce and a potential lower high compared to 942 and a continued tightening range. So as we're making our way through these Canadian MJ names, we can see no one's really impressive on the bounce today, aside from ACB and hardly TLRY. We'll just say ACB at this point. VFF dump thanks to Citron, but the Bulls bought that dip, and I was fortunate enough to come home right at the right time. I went to water my peas and plants, missed this initial bounce attempt. I came back home right around here, and I said, all right, I'm waiting for the $10 psychological flush. This is why you have an advantage if you are a trader watching both names, not just one name. So I want to see what the US name is doing, because here for VFF, we bounced off 1312. That level doesn't mean anything. I was playing the US ticker, and I was looking for a $10 psychological flush to be the last push from the bears, and I bought in at $9.95 and then scaled out into this strength for a multi-day maker and ended up seeing a 16, 17% bounce from the low of the day. And I was just looking for the short-term oversold bounce, playing counter trend, so certainly did not hold it through all of that, but locked in 6% in about 10 minutes or so, which I will take any day of the week. So let's go back to the Canadian ticker here. So Citron's coming out saying scam, $1, blah, blah, blah. Who cares what they're saying? And we need to be looking for an hourly lower high to form. That being said, we're in an interesting position where if we start tomorrow with strength, although we are seeing a little bit of weakness after hours, bears are waiting until there is less bid support after hours to try and knock the price down. Bid right now is 11. Ask is 11.20. We closed at 11.31, so we're down about 1 to 3% right now. But you can anticipate by looking at this and saying, okay, this is the reaction to Citron's tweet. So if we can get over 1647, anybody that reacted and went bearish on that tweet will be underwater and in the red. So we need a lot more follow through, but if the bulls could show up tomorrow and go 5%, they could potentially cause a short squeeze and put some pressure on those shorts. I personally wouldn't be looking for that to be happening. It is a possible scenario, but in my opinion, it's not the most likely scenario. I'm looking for an hourly lower high to be set, which has not been set yet because we did close with a little bit of bullish momentum. And once that hourly lower high is set, we're going to look to pull back and form a higher low compared to the low of today and have a tightening hourly range compared to 1312. So overall, what this does, the bear break on the daily occurred. In my opinion, that was part of the criteria of them releasing their short. The lack of support under this area is probably why they released it today. Weekly time frame, looking for a weekly higher low to form, but actually technically we did lose the weekly uptrend at this point. So it's going to be very key how we break this hourly anticipated tightening range, but I don't expect that to happen until Thursday or Monday, remembering that we do not trade on Friday. It's a holiday. T-God, very weak close at the low of the day. Only support is 390 nearby after the low of today. And after 390, it's 385. Bulls proved absolutely nothing. So overall, we just went through all the Canadian names that we're going to go through here aside from Labs. Going to treat Labs and these other names as their own little subsector in the extraction play. But all weakness on the Canadian side aside from one or two names. So that is notable. No bounce follow through. LABS, top is in, it looks like. We've got a volume climax. We've got a big bearish reversal, shooting star candlestick, almost a gravestone doji. The hourly time frame, we set the high of the day, low of the day, inside bar, bear break, increasing bear volume. There's no major red flags. The increasing bear volume is a red flag. Support is down at 556. And the clear red flag will be if we bounce, reject, and form a lower high compared to 652, and then see further consolidation. Because that tells us daily consolidation is clearly underway. We're going to look for a higher low compared to 424. But again, the faster you go up, the faster you're going to pull back. VFF has shown us that in a big way over the last couple months. But from the high of the day, we're already down over 10% in just one day. So again, chasing these small cap runners can be very painful if you do not have proper risk analysis or risk protection and an exit plan. So if we break the low of today, 575 tomorrow, daily consolidation is underway. If we hold it, a daily inside bar is very likely. Oils is the other extraction play we were watching. Blue sky breakout. So break of 495 yesterday, follow through today, increasing bull volume. Bulls held on a lot better. Hourly higher low is 57. That's the most important level tomorrow. Resistance is 65 and 68. We had dilution news come out this morning, and we were anticipating bulls to buy that dip, and they bought it literally right from the open. So the pullback did not last long, and instant rocket ship to all-time highs from there. So still a lot of strength, and 57 is the line in the sand now that the bulls need to maintain to keep that strength. And last we've got VGW, another oil extraction play, all-time high. So again, very clearly, this space is seeing a lot of action, this subsector. Volume climax, bearish reversal candlestick, hourly time frame, gave it all back, lost the hourly uptrend. Next time we bounce, we're going to assume an hourly lower high compared to 405 is the most likely scenario, and daily consolidation is needed to form a higher low compared to 339. So hype and euphoria for a few days, but fading with a bit of a climax today. Oils is holding up the best, but just have to be cautious and watch all of the names in this subsector if trading any of them. So now let's get to the US side, and the US side held up better on these bounces. And if I'm just looking at the names on my screen, I've got 5.5%, 8%, 5%, 5.5% as the names that stand out on their green days. For the Canadian side of things, 2.33 and 4% are the names that stand out. So again, big difference between the US bounce and the Canadian bounce. CURA was one of the bounce leaders from the low of yesterday of 10.97. We bounced all the way up to $12. So over a 10% bounce from that low and a strong close. Look at the hourly time frame. Tight bull break spike in volume. That's hourly continuation. We didn't see that on any of the Canadian names that we just looked at. Even ACB was not hourly continuation. We still need that higher low. So anything on the daily chart under 1285 is just a lower high. The closer we get to that resistance level, the more space the bulls create for themselves to try and form a higher low compared to 1097 and eventually change that trend back to the bulls. CURA is going to be bought in this USMJ ETF as number one holding. We don't know if it's going to be a $10 million holding or a $100 million holding, but keep an eye on CURA over the next couple of days to see if that fund incites some buying or incites perhaps some other hedge funds or other players mimicking or replicating those holdings to a certain degree. CWeb, another solid bounce, but we didn't break the high of yesterday. So it is a daily inside bar, but look at the solid bull volume. The hourly time frame has to confirm the trend change. So we did get a little higher low, higher high here from the end of the day yesterday. I'm looking at support of 25.60 at the end of the day. Resistance is 26.40, the most important level. If we don't break 26.40 tomorrow, it's a short-term red flag for the bulls due to the lack of follow-through. If we do break that resistance level, anything under 29.25 is just a daily lower high. So putting a stop to the bleeding for now, the question is, can we follow through and see a couple days of green in a row? TRUL, another leader in the bounce, we went from 16.43 up to $18. So again, a solid 9% bounce from that low of yesterday. Close up at the high of the day. Hourly chart, little bull flag and strength into the end of the day. Short-term support is 1781, a little double bottom down there. And resistance is 1810 and 1880. Again, anything under 2118 is just a lower high, so these moves are not making any progress on the daily time frame as far as changing trends goes. But it's a bounce, and we'll take it, and we need to see follow-through. The more follow-through we get, the more space we create for the higher low to form. IAN. So big upper wick, no bounce follow-through. Did not see a strong close. I did exit. I had scaled into a couple positions the past 2 days. I did exit 25% of my position. As I talked about in the video yesterday, what that does is it lowers my break-even point. It allows me more comfortability to manage this trade. And I will pretty much exit if we see a bounce attempt tomorrow, reject from 639, and then come down and break 607. And 608 actually is the level. But if we see a bounce attempt, a lower high and a lower low, I don't want to be in that trade anymore. So I will exit that position. But again, selling for small profit and taking 25% of my position off gives me more breathing room, and it makes me much more comfortable on this bounce attempt. So the daily time frame is a potential bear flag at this point. So we have to be cautious, and for the bulls to try and salvage this bounce attempt, they have to see a clear break of 639 and 642 tomorrow. And if we don't, the daily bear flag is absolutely a possibility. OH, another solid bouncer, but we couldn't break the high of yesterday. Double top 1189 and 1186. Hourly chart very tight. So the high of the day, low of the pullback, lower high is 1155, and the key short-term support is 1124. Break 1124, and it's a red flag in the short term for the lack of follow-through. And if we break 1186 and 1189, the daily lower high to be watching is 1238. So again, unlikely to break the daily downtrend, but we want to create space to try and form that higher low next time we consolidate. CL, anything under 1640 is a lower high. But again, standing out, holding hourly support at 1513, 1565, and 1590 are our resistances. So these USMJ names have clear hourly supports to be watching to tomorrow. And we have to see breaks of the highs of today for continuation and follow through for this to be more than just cooling off short-term RSI levels without any kind of strength. Still keeping an eye on Tilt. Tilt had some news come out. I believe they might have been dilution news. I actually have not read that news yet, but it did see a short-term bounce with no follow-through. Daily inside bar on Tilt. Worth keeping an eye on, because if Tilt can break 234, we're going to start shifting this daily momentum, and the daily oversold bounce will be underway. But we have to break the high of today, tomorrow, for that shift to take place. And KHRN, weakness, no bounce in sight, lower lows today, and might have to wait to daily oversold conditions before we see a bounce here. So lots to be watching in the sector. Never a dull moment. All over the place in terms of how plays are playing out. So there's opportunity everywhere, whether it's bullish, whether you're playing bearish, whether you're playing Canada or US. And man, if Citron wants to do this once a week and give us that kind of volatility with a 20% red day into a 16% bounce, we traders would welcome that. So that's all we got. We'll see what these ETFs do on the US side of things. And again, that's a way for long-term exposure. If you want to be more passive and more diversified in the sector as a whole, playing those ETFs, not a bad way to do it. And we'll keep an eye on everything. Hope you had a good day. Hope you have a good life. We'll see you soon. Do good things. Talk to you tomorrow. So we're going to do some more adventure time here. Not going to have plant updates until late April, early May, when things really get going. And those bugs are on their way. So I'll keep you posted on the praying mantis eggs, which will be exciting. So we're leaving Costa Rica, which was wonderful. This was from the first chat room that we ran when we were trading when I was trading in Costa Rica. And this is when the top was hit on the Euphoria USMJ penny stock boom. And this is my partner, current partner, Jason, business partner, made this up. Thought that was funny. Then I went back to Charlotte for Drumstrong. Drumstrong is a cancer organization, a charity that I've been working with for, I think this will be the 10th year, going in about a month from now, back. This is their 13th year, my 10th year. It's put on by my college roommate and his father, who are cancer survivors, and it is just a really good time raising awareness, raising funds for charity. And we have a big old drum circle, usually a couple hundred people big. We used to drum for like 36 hours straight, which got pretty absurd because we do an hour more every year. So we cut that down a little bit, but it's cool because we do these live streams where there's Drumstrong Sydney and Drumstrong Japan, and they do live streams and we drum together from across the world at the same time. And just a lot of good people, a lot of good music, and a really good fun time. From there, I followed a woman out to, what's it called? Kings Beach on Lake Tahoe. So, followed a woman out to Lake Tahoe, and about 2 weeks after getting there, she decided she didn't want to do it. So that was my college sweetheart. And that was all right. So I didn't know anybody out there at that point. So I was just trading. Every day I'd trade and then I'd go on adventures. And then I realized I don't really know anybody out here. And the reason why I'm out here is not really there anymore. So I only stayed for a few months, but it was mind-blowing. It was way cooler than I thought it would be, just in terms of mind-blowing nature and great hikes everywhere. So many great hikes to go on. So had a good time and explored it while I was there, and would certainly recommend visiting Lake Tahoe, and I will certainly be going back. More hot springs close to the side of the road, and waterfalls of hot water. So California is where it's at. Look at that selfie. That's level 10 selfie. That's me holding a flower pot, but the flower pot's my phone, and it's a shadow, and the flower is real. Pretty good. So we'll check back in tomorrow, and I'll see you then.